Hello everyone, it's Foo here, and Pokemon Worlds has just closed out with a really interesting reveal trailer for 4 new moves coming to the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, and all 4 actually look like they could really make an impact on the competitive meta, which is pretty amazing because usually when we have these competitive reveals, there are some items or moves that look kind of cool but are maybe a bit more gimmicky, whereas all of these could potentially really shake things up. So that's very exciting, and I'll go through all 4 in this video. The first one I want to talk about is Raging Bolt's signature move. When Raging Bolt was announced, there was a huge reaction, generally because of its very interesting design, but now we know its typing and its signature move. So it's going to be an electric dragon type, which is a very nice type combination. We've had a couple previously. We've had Mega Ampharos, Zekrom and Dracozolt, which all can't be used this generation, and we do also have Miraidon, the cover legendary for Pokemon Violet, which again can't be used in a lot of competitive metas because it is a very strong legendary Pokemon. So having a usable electric dragon type is very exciting. It's nice typing because it's got a lot of resistances, not too many weaknesses, although it does have weaknesses to some common types like Fairy and Ground, so you need to watch out for that. But generally it is good defensive typing and also pretty good offensively too. With this typing, it would be quite nice to see Raging Bolt be very bulky to make the most of some of those resistances, and I'm hoping it has a high special attack stat too, because generally electric type attacks are much better on the special side, and then you can also have access to Draco Meteor, which is very powerful. And all of that would work very well with its signature move, Thunderclap, which obviously sounds like an electric type move, and in the trailer it's described as strikes before a target's attack, which sounds very similar to Sucker Punch. If your opponent is going for a damaging attack, then Sucker Punch hits it with priority, and Thunderclap sounds like that, so that you go before they can get any damage on you. This is really exciting because Thunderclap looks to be a special attack since it's attacking from range from Raikou's Thundercloud-like main. Currently we only have a couple of special priority moves in Vacuum Wave and Water Shuriken, neither of which see a lot of play. So it's very exciting to have a potentially very good special priority move. And that would work very nicely if Raging Bolt is more on the bulky side, maybe not so fast, because then its speed stat can be lower and those stats can be invested elsewhere, maybe in its bulk and its special attack. So that's what I'm hoping for with Raging Bolt. And why this is so important is that there are some very meta-defining Pokemon that this can be a direct counter to. So right now in VGC, Urshifu Rapid Strike is one of the most potent Pokemon. It's water typing and it's very fast, it hits super hard with surging strikes and generally does well with some speed control. But Thunderclap would mean that you can ignore any speed control on their side because you would have priority and would go before Urshifu's surging strikes with a super effective, hopefully special move, which hits it on its weaker defense and could potentially one-hit KO Urshifu before it can get any attacks off. You also resist its surging strikes move because of your dragon typing, so it's got a really good matchup into one of the most potent Pokemon in the VGC meta right now. It also would be good against things like rain teams, because rain teams rely on their speed. With Swift Swim Pokemon, they go super fast and do massive damage with their water type moves. Again, you resist the water type moves, and Thunderclap would hit before they can even attack, regardless of their Swift Swim, because it's a priority move, and it would do super effective damage against all those water types. So that would mean that this Pokemon has a very good matchup into any rain teams too. Thundurus is a very common Pokemon. There are other flying types that this would be super effective against. So Raging Bolt is looking really strong, very unique. This is actually maybe gonna exceed my expectations, so I'm really looking forward to using Raging Bolt. Very fun looking Pokemon. And since we're on the topic of the upcoming Paradox Pokemon, Iron Crown is also looking very interesting too. So it's a Steel Psychic type, which Metagross is a Steel Psychic type, and that has had pretty good competitive use historically, so Steel Psychic typing can definitely work. It's got a lot of resistances, it's got some common weaknesses too, so you need to be careful about that, but in a Terra meta, that might not be such an issue. And it has the new move Tachyon Cutter, which is described as guaranteed to hit twice in a row. So it's a 2-hit move. In the trailer, we see Mimikyu getting 1-hit KO'd by this because the first hit destroys its disguise and the second hit hits super effectively and takes out Mimikyu, which is really cool. Mimikyu isn't the most competitively viable Pokemon right now, but there are 2 Pokemon that this really does threaten, and that is Fluttermane and Chien-Pao. Especially Chien-Pao, but both of these Pokemon can hold the Focus Sash. Chien-Pao really likes holding the Focus Sash. Both of them are super meta-defining right now, and they are both weak to Steel, which Tachyon Cutter looks to be because it was super effective against Mimikyu. So both of these Pokemon could be 1-hit KO'd even if they're holding the Focus Sash with Tachyon Cutter. So this Pokemon could really change things up. The only thing to bear in mind is that both Chien-Pao and Fluttermane are super fast Pokemon, so they could well outspeed Iron Crown. Iron Crown might be faster than them, and if it is, it's going to be an incredible Pokemon because it will be blisteringly fast, like, again, meta-defining in terms of how fast it would be. I have a feeling it won't be that fast. It probably will be a little bit slower, but you could maybe mitigate for that if you could use booster energy sets or choice scarf sets, or just have some really good speed control to try and outspeed those Chien-Paos and those Fluttermanes and take them out before they even get to attack with your Tachyon Cutter. So both of these new Paradox Pokemon look to have meta-changing signature moves, which is so fantastic. And this is such good news for the DLC because it does look like a lot of consideration has been put into how these Pokemon will interact with the already available Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. We also saw 2 other new moves being revealed in this trailer. The first one is very interesting. It's Psychic Noise, which is a psychic type damage dealing move which prevents the target from healing for a certain time. Now, it's not clear how long this healing blocking effect takes place, whether it's just one move or whether it's over a number of turns. I imagine it's over a number of turns because we have previously had the move Heal Block. In past generations, this was a status move which prevented the target from healing, and it lasted for 5 turns. We don't know if that's going to be the same case for Psychic Noise, but it could well be. And it's really interesting because Heal Block was completely removed from the game in Generation 9, so we haven't got Heal Block back, but we are getting Psychic Noise, which is like an upgrade because it deals damage, so you can't be taunted out of it. So that's very strong. We've only seen Psychic Noise being used by Gardevoir so far, which has seen some use in some VGC metas. It's not the most viable Pokemon out there, but it does hit hard and could use this Psychic Noise move. But I would like to see some more competitively viable Pokemon learn this, like some of the bulky Trick Room setters like Farigiraf, Gothitelle, Indeedee, and maybe even Cresselia, and also maybe Screamtail, because Screamtail's really fast, so being able to get that Psychic Noise off right at the beginning of the turn could also be really nice to see. It's going to be really helpful for taking down stall teams which rely on healing up their Pokemon while chipping away at your Pokemon. If they can't heal, then stall teams will drop dead in the water. And for the VGC meta, this looks like a specific counter to Amoonguss, which is an ever-present Pokemon that really likes to heal up its allies with Pollen Puff. So if you target its ally with Psychic Noise, it will not be able to heal them up with Pollen Puff. Additionally, Psychic Noise would be super effective into Amoonguss itself, dealing good damage and then preventing it from healing up with things like the Citrus Berry and probably Regenerator too. We'd need to see how Psychic Noise does interact with Regenerator because you're switching out, so maybe when you switch out, Psychic Noise effects stop before the Regenerator healing works, but I have a feeling that you would actually prevent the Regenerator healing too. So that would be a really hard counter to Amoonguss at the moment. So again, another meta-changing move, really exciting. And lastly, we also were shown Upper Hand, a new move which was described as strikes before a target's priority move. And we also see it flinch Scizor. So Scizor was going for Bullet Punch, Hariyama went for Upper Hand, it hit before Bullet Punch, and Bullet Punch is a priority move, so Upper Hand went before it, and then Scizor flinched and couldn't use its Bullet Punch. So this kind of looks like a Sucker Punch, but only for priority moves. So it will probably fail if the opponent doesn't use a priority move. We don't know that for sure. This is a bit of speculation, but it sounds like it will probably fail if you target something that's not using a priority move. If it hits, it probably flinches all the time. I would guess that that's kind of the payoff, because you have to guess if your opponent's going to use a priority move or not. If you guess right, you deal some damage and you flinch them so they can't use their priority move. I'd also be very interested to find out what priority bracket Upper Hand falls into. I would guess it's at least +2 because Hariyama has a lower base speed than Scizor, and Upper Hand went before Scizzor's Bullet Punch, so I would imagine that it's at least +2 priority because Bullet Punch is only +1. It could be even higher. It will be very interesting to see if you could block something like a Fake Out. Could your Upper Hand go even before Fake Out, which is a super high priority? And I'd also be interested to know if Upper Hand can prevent status priority moves. So like Pokemon with Prankster, can you stop them from using their Prankster moves with Upper Hand? Because that will be extremely powerful too. So there are a lot of mechanics going into this Upper Hand move, and I really can't wait to understand more about it. My guess would be that it's a very good way of stopping your opponent from using at least +1 priority moves, which are very hard to stop at the moment. There's a very little counterplay you have to those. We currently only have seen Hariyama using this move, which currently isn't the most competitively viable Pokemon because Iron Hands is kind of a direct upgrade to it. I would imagine that this will be more widely distributed than just Hariyama, so we'll probably see other maybe more viable Pokemon learning this move. But if it is just Hariyama, I would love to see Hariyama make its way back into the metagame. It's not a bad Pokemon by any stretch, it's just that there is a direct upgrade in Iron Hands really. So that's all for today. 4 really exciting moves that I think all 4 have the potential to change things massively in VGC. Let me know which move you're excited to use in the comment section below. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.